Congressman Lloyd Doggett joins us now here live on KVUE. I shouldn't say live probably since it's taped. Sorry, let me start that over. 3,
Sure.
2, 1. Congressman Lloyd Doggett joins us now. Congressman, thanks for being here.
Good to join you, Terry.
Where were you when all of this went down today?
Well, I was directly across from the Capitol. The House chamber was limited to 11 members to a side, so I was watching these proceedings as I could see out my window protesters beginning to arrive, the police running around the Capitol building to meet them, more and more protesters. Eventually, they were able to enter the Capitol on a day that is really troubling for our democracy. Basically an insurrection in an attempt to stop the counting of the vote.
What do you make of what happened today?
I feel that this group of people fed a daily diet of lies by President Trump, decided that they would do what no court, no Republican governor, and even the vice president wouldn't do, and that is to try to stop the vote counting. Even Vice President Pence, who's been as loyal as anyone this president could have asked for, was condemned by the president today, but he did not condemn the violence, nor the supporters that attacked our police, led to the shooting of a woman in the Capitol, and did destruction in the Capitol.
Clearly, there is a big population that does not agree with the way this election has been handled, who feel their voices are not being heard. What do you say to those people today?
Well, I would appeal to them on the basis of reason to look at the dozens of courts, many with Trump appointees, the Republican governors and election officials who have done their job, and even the vice president, as well as the Republican Senate Majority Leader, who called for them to accept the free and fair election we have had. We really hit rock bottom today with this level of violence. And I hope that it will cause many people to take a second look, to recognize that our democracy is more precious than the results of any one election, and will join with President Biden eventually, even if they didn't vote for him, to try to heal our country and bring us back together to tackle the virus and the other real world problems that we face.
Clearly,
they're not going to be able to undo this election. The results are in. Joe Biden won by over 7 million votes, but they can contribute to how we solve problems, and they can contribute to our democracy, and I welcome their nonviolent participation.
There was a good chunk of the population that did peacefully protest today, even here outside the Texas state capitol. What do you say to those people? Because I think they feel like they're being grouped into this group of people that did have the violent outburst.
I would be the first to defend their right to protest. I would defend their right to be wrong about this, as I view it. The protests that I've seen through the years at the Texas Capitol, at the United States Capitol, many of which I've been a part of, are a part of American democracy and our give and take. But the violence that occurred here today was not protest, it was a riot.
Should we look into how elections are handled for future years?
Well, you know, in Georgia, they looked into the election 3 different times, 2 recounts and a voter signature ID. I think that we need to look into the efforts at voter suppression that occurred in Texas, the ridiculous effort of the governor to limit us to 1 box in the entire county to return our early votes. But the election process itself, I think, was conducted fairly and freely. We need to accept those results and move on to tackle problems like this coronavirus. We've got a president who just keeps taking pot shots instead of working to try to get shots in the arms of people across our country. And we've seen the failure of his immunization campaign, just as with testing and personal protective equipment. We need to focus on the real challenge, the threat of death and pain and suffering to American families, and to recognize, of course, the danger to our democracy, the health of our democracy. I can imagine that tonight in Beijing and Moscow and other places that are our adversaries, they are showing the video of chaos in America, and it will take years to undo this damage that Trump has done.
So how do we move forward, not only with this election, but just as a country?
I think by welcoming the participation of anyone who wants to be a nonviolent contributor to solving our problems, recognizing that no party has a monopoly on truth, but that the hate and the violence this president has encouraged must be rejected. We have to monitor his conduct over the next 2 weeks to ensure no martial law, as a number of defense secretaries from both parties feared, and that we have a smooth transition with or without him. I'm pleased we have a humane president who wants to heal, to reach out, and reaching out requires somebody to reach back. I hope people will.
How do you feel Texas has been represented here in the United States? There is a state representative, for instance, who has proposed a bill to consider allowing voters to decide whether Texas should secede. Do you think that could get more traction now?
Well, secession didn't work very well when it was tried at the time of the Civil War. Fortunately, Sam Houston stood courageously, cost him his job. Travis County voted against secession. I think the notion of Texas seceding is a extremist view similar to the violence we saw here today. It certainly is not going to be accepted. I saluted today someone with whom I rarely agree and frequently criticize, and that's Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican Majority Leader, because he recognized in his open remarks before the Capitol was breached by these violent Trump protesters how much was at stake and why we should not throw out the votes of millions of Americans to install someone who did not win the election. I know the protesters and supporters of the president wanted that, but it's the wrong thing to do, and it's been rejected by some Republicans who prefer the Constitution to loyalty to this one person who lost the election.
I see that you're still in your office there tonight. What do you do from here now? Will you be staying there? Are you all able to get out?
We're still locked in our offices as the Capitol Police try to regain total control of the Capitol. We need to complete this count within 5 days of its beginning. I hope we will resume tonight once they're sure the Capitol is clear of any improvised explosive devices and any remaining supporters of the president who want to disrupt. And then we return to the count. We can't let the president succeed in blocking the count. And so whether it's late tonight or tomorrow or Friday or on into the weekend, we need to complete the count and then move forward with the inauguration in a couple of weeks.
Your hope for the future?
My hope is that with America having sunk to this low spot in our dialogue today, we can move up, move forward, and move together.
Thanks so much, Congressman Lloyd Doggett. We appreciate you joining us. Be safe.
Look forward to visiting with you about happier news in the future.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you.